Folks, it's a Thursday, so that means it is time for Jungle Drums. I'm joined this evening by my good friend Sergeant J.
Hola.
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 Apologies, there was no Jungle Drums last week. I wasn't horrendously ill, but I was queasy. I was ill enough that there was no doing the show, and I was hoping to then record it on the Friday. But instead, I still wasn't quite up to it, so apologies. To be fair, even today I was a bit, not ill, but I had a, kind of a head cold, watery throat and everything, but I've had a day of rest, plenty of paracetamol, and now I'm also medicating in the adult fashion, and feeling a little bit better, so hopefully I'll be nice and fully mission capable for the weekend. Right, so, what are we talking about this evening? Well, we've got a few things to talk about, but first off, we've got to talk about the game that came out last week, the game that has been stealing Sergeant J and myself's time away from us. We've sunk so much time into it, and we're absolutely loving it, and that, of course, is, let's just pull it up, Destiny 2. As you can see, yes, I've got the characters up to a decent light. Jay's even higher than myself, but we've got the Titan up to a comfortable 295, Warlock at 289, and Hunter at 289. All nice and arrayed ready, but, getting ahead of myself. Jay, first impressions of Destiny 2. When you first loaded it up at midnight it would have been Tuesday night, wasn't it? Tuesday night going on a Wednesday. What were your first impressions?
Excitedness. That's totally a word as well, okay? That totally counts. Hyped to all beyond belief. Loading up that first mission, although it was from was the one from the beta. I was ready. I was happy.
Where's the money, Lebowski? Where's the money, Lebowski?
Green hat for life. Thank you so much
money,
for the tip. Oh, I love you, man, and I love the green hat. I'm all about the
down
green
there
hat.
somewhere. Let me take
All
another
about
look.
the green hat. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Yeah, Jay, you were saying.
Yeah, no, just pure happiness and looking forward to it and excited and waiting to see what fun stuff they brought.
I mean, the thing that got me that was just mind-blowing was the opening, the memories, which, okay, for those of you out there, okay, this is a spoiler if you're planning on getting Destiny 2 but you haven't, or, actually it isn't, I suppose. If you've never played Destiny, the first one, this wouldn't apply, but what happened is when you first started the game, it gave you this nice little kind of a trip through your memories. So what I can do right now, I can actually, where are we hiding? Yes, it's called the Legacy. So if I click on this, this is what basically we were greeted with. This is my own personalized one that was, given to me basically, and it was really nice, really quite poignant, because it, it's giving you the story of you, your legend. So it's telling me that yes, I went to the Black Garden back on. Is it using American dates or is it using our dating system? You know how in the States they put the month and the day.
I am pretty sure it is the American, because I don't think you did it in October.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But so then we go on to the next memory, and so sure enough, this will be Vault of Glass. That was the very first raid from the original Destiny. What's cool is it's even tracked the actual fire team you were with. How cool is that? So again, it's just looking at the dates, 2014. Couldn't believe it was that long ago. Absolutely amazing. Same Dark Below. Me and good old Gimboyd, who's unfortunately not here at the moment. He might show up a little bit later. And then what we've got next, this would be Crota, I do believe. Yep, Crota's End. Again, you can see good old Gimboyd sitting there. What was next? This would have been Prison of Elders or House of Wolves. Yep. So the whole time, you're just going to this, and it is nice because it's reminding you of the amazing accomplishments, during Destiny, but it's also reminding you of the people that you You played. I mean, yeah, no, Mr. Creature, you're absolutely right. It was just fantastic. It was absolutely amazing. But yeah, it was a really, really, really cool touch. I won't go through any more of this. I just wanted to give a little showing of it because it was fantastic, right? So it goes through all of your memories, and then at the very end, the little thing comes up and it says "Begin a new adventure," and then that's what puts you in, and boom, the story of Destiny 2 begins. And Jay, I mean, let's talk about story.
Oh God, absolutely fantastic. Well, I thought it was anyway. Their cinematics, their storytelling is superb. They've clearly learned with it and clearly progressed. I mean, we saw a good set of story unfolding when it came to Rise of Iron and Taken King. That's when it really sort of started to come out a bit more. And then with this, just blew everything that Destiny 1 ever was out of the water. It was absolutely fantastic.
It was so atmospheric as well when it came to the music during these early stages. I mean, again, without giving too much away, there was, a big catastrophic thing kind of happens, and afterwards, everything, your entire basic world that you understand has just collapsed. And so it's a very downtrodden moment. And the way that the music, the way the atmosphere, even little things like controller vibration that's kind of going with, not really in tune with your heartbeat, but it gives that kind of pulsating effect. All of these things put together, just, it gave you this experience that if you had any kind of investment in the Destiny universe, it made the hair rise up in the back of your neck. It was amazing. And then you get on a little bit later, and this amazing score, this beautiful, orchestra type music, when you're in a more kind of a peaceful area, it's a bit more uplifting. It looks like there is a little bit of hope. I mean, I had goosebumps through that whole entire part of the game. It was absolutely fantastic.
I think their intro part was the best. Like, having played through on 3 characters, the story, the later missions, they're still fantastic. But those first couple still have the same impact every single time for me.
Absolutely.
Always.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. Jay and myself, we're very. We know it inside out because we've done it on all 3 characters. So we've done all of our experiences. Thanks, Josh. That's funny. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. See, I need subtitles. That's what I need. But yeah, the actual story itself was great. You get into the missions. It's very much guided. It's very, showing you what to do next. But yet, there's still the opportunity to go do side things. Because some of the missions are gated. You have to be a certain level. So you don't have to just crack through the story and finish it all up. If you want to just take your time, can I have to make a battle of reading video? If you can take your time and do all these little side quests that are happening, there's these things called adventures, there's lost sectors to explore. And I mean, things like lost sectors, I mean, graphically, Jay, the differences between Destiny 2 and Destiny 1 on console, at least graphically, I mean, what do you think?
Oh, a lot better, a lot nicer, a lot crisper. It all looks very pleasing, very, very crisp, nice.
Absolutely.
That's the best way I can describe it.
Oh,
really.
I mean, even when you think the particle effects, like some of the effects, like the fire and explosions, everything's just that much more. You can tell that Destiny 1, even so it did look good on the Xbox One and the PS4, you could tell that a lot of the kind of, the coding or whatever, it was still limited because they had to have comparable running on the 360 and the PS3.
Was held back by those legacy consoles, whereas this hasn't got that problem, and you can tell it hasn't for a lot of the stuff they do. Just the way it runs, the way it looks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But even, graphically, it's an improvement. I mean, you can see the difference. Can't really say the sounds are any better. I mean, they are obviously, but the sound in Destiny, the first one, was great anyway. The music, it was top notch back then as well. But when it comes to the actual gameplay, though, like the way everything feels, it still feels very much like Destiny, just better, in my opinion. Everything just, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still a few issues. Like, what's the one that we have when you go to jump, sometimes it doesn't necessarily happen, or sliding as well. I mean, there's still...
yes, yeah, there's a few little...
Which, who knows, that might not be the game, that might just be us.
Bit terrible.
It could just be us. But yeah, you know, I mean, there's... Mechanically, it's great. I mean, the way that they changed the weapons, there's a big controversy about this. Because we're used to primary, secondary, and heavy. And to be fair, we still call them that, just out of habit.
Yep.
But they changed that. So now it's kinetic, which doesn't have any kind of elemental damage. Then your second slot is energy, and then your third slot is power. So they've done certain things. So the power slot now is rocket launchers, grenade launchers, swords, fusion rifles, as well as snipers and shotguns, which a lot of people were irritated about. They thought that was a bit, you know, silly. Oh, why are those, you know, why are these weapons being restricted to heavy? Or, well, the energy slot. And I think, Jay, you can probably answer that question for us. What is their reasoning? Why are fusion rifles, shotguns, and sniper rifles now in the energy slot? Why are they down at the bottom now?
Well, obviously, because they've become these massive power weapons, haven't they? Now, which is that they really do pack a kick now. A lot of these weapons do in this thing, and I think a lot of it was down to PvP aspect as well from Destiny 1, especially considering how big these weapons were. I mean, you saw in Destiny 1, the meta was literally snipers and shotguns.
Yeah. For
their secondaries, it's very rare. I can't. Again, Destiny 2 has slowed this down a lot. Destiny 1, especially PvP, again, if you compare it from those two aspects of the PvP comparison, Destiny 2 feels a lot slower. It's no longer about getting these grenade kills or having all your abilities up, or having things like in Trials, for example, a chest piece that would allow you to spawn with grenade energy and being able to just get kills this way. It's more about killing with your weapons now in PvP, especially. And as you say, a lot of people had a lot of problems with this. But I think it's great. I really do. I think it's nice being able to use, like, having a scout rifle for long range, hand cannon for close quarters, and then having these big power weapons that you can rely on when you want to. And I think it's great. I
mean, let's talk about that, because that's another very interesting change. When Destiny 1, you know, your primary weapons, your auto rifle, your pulse rifle, your hand cannon, and your scout rifle, they were all just primary weapons. But now with this change to kinetic and energy, they've actually, you can have all of those weapons in either slot. The difference being the energy slot has an elemental damage. And it makes for some really, really interesting loadouts. I mean, you could have, you know, an auto rifle as your kinetic, but then you could have a hand cannon, an arc hand cannon as your energy weapon, and it just makes for some. I mean, let's be honest. When it came to Destiny 1, one of the biggest critiques was personalization, because you went around and you saw, for lack of a better term, cookie cutter. yeah. Karma, Josh was saying just the same thing. Needs subtitles for people who can't listen. You know, there was just cookie cutter guardians everywhere.
Yeah.
People wearing the same armor, the same, you know, the top tier skins, and the same types of weapons. You know, you always had, this is your primer, this is this, that is that. But now the way that the game's been changed, I mean, even shaders can be applied individually to each weapon, to each armor piece, to each sparrow, each ghost, each ship. I mean, the customization is just amazing. And same with weapons, you can have so many loadouts. If you want to run with 2 SMGs, one with an elemental damage, one without, you can do that. You can do that. No, you cannot have multiple mods on weapons. You can change out your mods. You know, thanks for those, Karma. Just in case you're not listening. Change them out. You know, the level of customization is just amazing, and I think what we're going to see a lot more of now, I mean, I don't know what you think, Jay, is that a lot of Guardians out there that are going to look very different.
You can finally have that rainbow-coloured Guardian you've always been wanting.
Yeah, I mean, there's still going to be some, like, top-notch skin or shaders that people are going to use.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would imagine. But
People like it's coming back to the kinetic and power energy weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, quite an interesting thing about this. I read
cool.
today. The energy weapons actually do 10% less damage than the kinetic weapons.
Oh,
unless
really?
it's against shielded enemies, in which case the energy weapons just blow the kinetic weapons out of the water.
Course. Now, that's a really interesting stat. That is awesome to know.
Again, because I like reading my Reddit a lot, and I like reading what people do. There's some blokes compiled what I believe is probably a legitimate list, and it shows the difference between how much damage a scout, for example, scout body shot on a kinetic slot would do compared to that of a
Of course, right.
scout energy weapon, and it is different. It's a lot. It's
You
lower
know,
on the energy
you
side,
say that, and I can see that now. On my Warlock, I have an ARC scout rifle, and I was feeling that myself. Like, man, it just feels like, I'm not getting one-shot headshots with it compared to, the Endless Midnight or, Mida or whatever.
What those energy weapons do against shields is a billion times higher. And you probably noticed again, even against obviously the different, because obviously now the energy weapons work differently as well, as they still do the same amount of damage per shielded enemy. So you no longer have to match arc with arc, but if you do, when the shield goes, it causes a massive explosion around them, which is obviously a lot more beneficial. But so all the weapons, energy weapons now obviously do tons more damage against shielded units compared to kinetic, but kinetic do rule once you come out of that though, which I think is probably what they were partly looking for anyway. I still have ammo problems though. I had that problem in Destiny 1, I still have that problem in Destiny 2, running out of ammo.
I think this is the thing, Jay. I think with the way that they've changed the primary and the energy, I think it's really trying to make us to switch between them more. Because so often, if you think about PvE content in the original Destiny, and let's be honest, this is what we did. You went through, you used your primary all the time until you came up against a hard-hitting mob, and you would maybe use your heavy if you needed rid of it really quickly. If you didn't, then you'd use your secondary, and then when you got to the boss, for weapons, Karma, the only mods for weapons are either kinetic, which they're the ones that are kind of hard to come by. You can get them though, and then just for the elemental damage. So far, from what we know, it's the armor bits that have all the special different ones. Would either recharges your subclass faster, or it gives you a boost to speed, or it gives you a boost to recoil on your kinetic weapon, or reload speed on your power weapon. As far as we know, it's still early days. But no, I think that's the way the game used to be. And I think that by doing these little damage changes that you've described, I think they're really trying to get us to actually instead of playing it that way, we want you to constantly switch between them. I mean, look at with the elite enemies, and if you kill them with a heavy, what drops guaranteed every time?
Ammo. It's great. It's what's, because a lot of these concerns with the beta.
So see, we're doing it again. Power ammo.
Power, lack of power ammo drops and stuff. This is what they've addressed really well. Seeing as we're talking about anyway, coming on to things like mod slots and customization of weapons and also leveling is, I think one of the big changes which I quite like is not having to level up your weapons or your armor. As I was explaining to somebody a while today actually about how it used to be done in Destiny 1 in terms of you had the telemetries which helps level up your weapons in Destiny 1, but I made the comparison of you could use a telemetry on a weapon, spam motes of light into it, and you could do 4 weapons before a piece of armor is even fully leveled up. And now just having all this armor and weapons leveled for you is great, because it means that if you want to swap something you've got new, you can. You don't have to worry about putting the grind in, the planetary material grind, it's there for you like that. And the mod slots, again, there's a lot of concern, wasn't there, in the beta about the fact that we didn't have these intellect, discipline, and strength builds anymore. But the fact that you can customize these mod slots to do things like you can have in your helmet, for example, when you're using a arc class ability, it will
recharge your subclass ability, or recharge your grenade, or recharge your melee faster.
What's nicer about this, again, which almost in a way does cater a bit more towards, I would say, casual players as such, is that you can have 3 sets of armor drops Sure, you'll have like 3 sets farms, one for your Void, one for your Arc, and one for your Solar class, but you haven't got to sit there relying on RNG to get those pieces.
Yeah.
Because you can just put your mods in when you've got a piece of gear you want, and yeah, it's great.
To answer Karma's question here, I mean, about engram drops, it's tricky to answer that, because on one hand, whenever they introduced the three of coins, you could get exotic engrams out very, very often, right? You could get them quite a lot. And I've seen a little bit of online debate about how some people feel that engrams aren't as abundant in Destiny 2, and I'd have to wholeheartedly disagree, because you have to keep in mind the way they've changed things. Every time you level up a reputation, whether that's Devrim in the EDZ, whether that's Commander Sloan on Titan, whether that's Lord Shaxx with the Crucible, or Zavala with the Vanguard, every time you level up with them, you are technically getting a legendary engram. So if you factor that in, as well as, I mean, I don't know about you, Jay, but lately, I mean, we see legendary engrams quite a lot. The exotic ones, not so much. But still a decent amount. When you consider how many heroic public events we've done, you know, we've had our fair share of exotic engrams.
I actually quite like the new engram system. In terms of with the actual, as you said, the vendors, it's pretty much like the old sort of system in a way. You obviously get rewarded for it. But what I like about the, as you say, is, yeah, we see a lot of purple engrams drop and exotic engrams drop. But I reckon if you looked at the actual stats per day, it probably wouldn't be as much as you think.
Yeah.
And I quite like the system. I like, especially 3 of coins with exotics was great. Don't get me wrong. I mean, but I feel so much more excited and more happy about earning one now, because I know the drop rate's low.
Let's be brutally honest, Jay. When they introduced 3 of coins, an exotic engram was no longer exotic in my mind. When you think exotic, what do you think? You think of something so rare, very, very seldom seen, something special, right? That's what I think of exotic. I mean, okay, yeah, they've got exotic dancers and they're friggin' all over the place. But, you know, exotic and, you know, its actual true term of the word. And I think 3 of coins really heavily devalued them. And I think we're back now in a place where they are, you know, yeah, they're not raining down from the sky all the time. But whenever you do get one, you're just like, yes! You know, and you get that anticipation. You get that, oh, I wonder what this is going to turn into. Oh,
exactly.
I mean, look at me. There was that primary weapon I wanted. I wanted Sweet Business, the minigun. I really, really wanted it. And I said, oh, you know, if this turns into Sweet Business, if this turns into Sweet Business. And, you know.
Finally got it.
Finally got it. A bunch of them didn't. I wasn't disappointed, though, because I still got my gear. But, no, I think the engram system is just about right. Because, I mean, you get blues all the time.
Yep.
And this is an important thing when it comes to engrams, is I think the leveling system, I don't mean about the levels 1 through 20, but the power level of your gear. I think a lot of people kind of miss a trick with this one, because there's a lot of players out there, you know, ones that don't have access to the internet, ones that don't read up on the forums and, you know, watch a lot of YouTube, that find themselves getting to this wall where they only can get to a certain power level, and they're like, what the hell, I can't get any higher, I can't get any higher. And that is when we come back to these mods that we were talking about earlier. If you can get yourself decent legendary gear, you want to be, if you find like a piece, forget what power level it is, but if you find a piece that you're happy with, you like the look of it, you like the stats on it, and you say, okay, I'm going to keep that. Keep it, right? And try your damnedest to get one of the epic power mods in there. Now, there's different ways to do this. You've got a chance every time you level up with Banshee 44 by turning in your weapon parts. Well, not weapon parts, it's
materials
now, isn't it? Gunsmith materials.
Yeah, that's one.
You have a chance to get weapon mods and armor mods from that. So the minute you get a purple one, right, make sure to lock the piece of armor so you don't accidentally delete it. You put in one of those epic, the legendary armor mods, and you've now boosted it up to 5. So this is where it gets really, really interesting. Say you've got a piece of 270 armor, let's call it a helmet, right? You've got a 270 helmet, You put in that piece, so now it shows at 275. So what you've done is you've raised your light, but actually your base light of that piece is still 270. So what that means is you've now raised your light, okay? So your drops are going to be higher. So if you manage to get a piece that say drops at 271, you can now, if it's a helmet, you can now infuse that into your old helmet and it'll bring it up to 276. You end up fooling the system. So once you've got, say if you were in all 270 armor, right? Everything is 270. And you end up putting these epic mods, legendary mods, in all of your weapons and all of your armor, you've got an actual power level of 275. But the way the game looks at it is, you know, that's your actual power, but the engram, like the stuff inside, you know, you'll get a piece of armor that's 271 if you're lucky, you know, but it just, it's crazy. It's awesome. And this is how you kind of beat the system, because you'll get to a point where your engrams are going to cap out, because what are the way it works, I should actually reword that, because they don't actually cap, do they, G?
No, they will decrypt to 8. Now this is where what you say comes to play. They will apparently decrypt 8 light levels below what is your base power level. So that's not including your mods into it, because this is, you know how I was always wondering why I had stuff that was dropping that was like 10 power levels below my actual power level.
Yeah.
It's because it was actually 8 power levels below my base power level. So the mod slots apparently, I think, I still need to look at it, do not come into account with that.
But
obviously, but I like the way it works though. I think it's great, because how many times do you find yourself having pieces that might lag behind? Like say for example, you get, let's just say you do 2 weeks worth of farming and you get all your powerful gear pieces, and you've got all your pieces at 280, but you've got one piece at 265 somehow still somehow. You're going to have that piece drop from a blue or a purple that's 8 power levels below your base power level, which means you can then infuse it into that piece. And it's great because it does allow you to bring up lagging pieces of gear, which is nice about it. And quite frankly, I think it's partly because of how much I enjoyed the Destiny 1 grind. It's not as bad as what Destiny 1 was when it first came out, but it's still a challenge to push forward, and I quite like that. I'm glad that we can't all just hit max light within the space of like 2 or 3 days. I'm glad it's taking a lot of time to be able to push that light level.
Let's pull up exactly what we're talking about here, right? I mean, okay, so this armor piece, if I pull this up, as you can see, it has this mod in here that gives me 5 extra light. So even so this says 297, this actual piece of armor is only 292. So I don't have any additional things in here, but okay, let's use this as an example, right? I've got a blue piece that's 284, which I can't do too much with. Now see how this is 283, these gauntlets here, right? It's 283, and it's got the blue in there, right? So that's a bad example. I don't think this other one has one in it either. No, this is 283. I wonder if I could... No, I'm not going to waste one of these. What I'll do is if I maybe put it in the... Yeah, I could do it in one of these exotics. Right, so this is 288. Whereas this is 284. So you say to yourself, well, you can't use that to infuse that because it's a lower light. But because it's got the +5, I sure can. So look at this. This is now currently 288. I put in a piece of 284, and it's going to raise it to 289. Yeah, only a 1 point difference there, but you can see how that would work with other weapons, depending on what you've got. You know, so it's really about trying to get these mods, which there's different ways you can do it. Like I said, leveling up with Banshee. You can even, once you get to, well, even before you get to 280, you can convert, can't you? I don't
remember if you can or not.
Well, I know you can, like, if you end up having, say, legendary ones, like, here's a prime example. Maybe you've only got a Titan, okay? but you end up getting a hunter cloak mod in your exactly, exactly, Karma. But so say you've got a Titan, but you get these purple ones for a hunter, and you think, oh man, that sucks, you know, I can't do anything with that. No, it's fine. You can go into your if I pull that up again, right, if you go into your inventory and then go down to where your mods are, what you can do is you can dismantle the ones you don't want or the ones you don't need. Hey, thanks for the follow, Topmost, much appreciated. And what they'll do is it'll turn into a, what's the name of it, Jay?
Mods, I always say mod component, isn't it?
A mod component. Once you have 2 mod components, if you visit Banshee, he can convert those into a random weapon or an armor mod. You get to choose. So that's quite handy as well. If you're someone who only has one character, you know... Hey, thanks, Topmost. Much appreciated, man. You know, it's, you know, one way to do it. So, again, don't burn your purple ones right off the bat. I highly recommend waiting until you find an armor piece you're happy with. You know, like if you know you want high mobility, high resilience, and you find one that you like the look of, you go, oh, I'm keeping that, then make sure to lock it. Just lock on it, and then you can save it for yourself. And then just start infusing that. When you get a mod, look, when you're leveling, you might not get the mod that you want initially, but it's fine. Just put it in there to get that +5. Same with your elemental damage for the weapons. Maybe you don't want that rocket launcher to be void, but you definitely want to keep that rocket launcher. Screw it, just put a solar in there. It's going to give you that +5, and it's going to help you in the long run for leveling. Hence why, you know, we've got that many characters that are high up.
Don't do what I did and accidentally change a mod slot over for a energy weapon, not realising that I've just destroyed a legendary mod and I don't have any more backups.
Now
it hurts.
This brings another thing into play, is be very careful when you do get a new weapon or a new piece of armor, because sometimes they come with one of those epic, I keep saying epic, I keep thinking
legendary.
World of Warcraft.
We use the purples.
Yeah, purples. If you have, sometimes when you say get something from Zavala or get something from, you know, Crucible, occasionally it'll already have a purple mod slot in there. So just be cognizant of that. Keep an eye out. Don't just blindly dismantle everything going, oh, an auto rifle, I'm no interested. No, just, you know, double check. Because that can be quite handy in the long run as well. Because you might, you know, look at a weapon it might be lower light when you look at it, right? Like, say it says 285, and you're like, oh, I don't want that. It's only 285. But then you look, and it's got a purple on it. You know, you're like, oh, or am I thinking backwards? Yeah, no, that's right. You know, I say, oh, that's no good to me. But then you see it's 280. It's actually 280 with that +5. You're like, oh shit, this is great, because I can put a 283 onto that, and now it's turned into 288, right? It's all these little things you need to be mindful of. Destiny 2, easy to pick up, easy to play, but when you get into the higher light levels and the strategies used to get up to that, you know, as close to 300 as you can, and well, post 300, because the max is actually 350. It takes a little bit of thinking, a little bit of planning. But you should definitely be able to get there.
On that note, obviously which was great, the glimmer cap was increased for Destiny 2 to 100,000. Which compared to Destiny 1's 25,000, it's a huge jump. And personally, I know Jungle did the same, and quite a few of us thought, oh, we hit that cap. And we'll come to clans in a minute, but the clan banner gives you increased glimmer gains, and so does some ghosts. And we thought, oh, we don't need those.
Yeah.
Once you start getting all these mod slots, your glimmer just disappears. I mean, seeing their Jungle's on what, like 17k, 18k. I'm on about 12 at the moment. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Coming to clans, which I think is quite a big talking point, especially what it brings into the game.
Absolute game changer.
So obviously, clan, you had what was essentially your, what they called guilds back in day one, that are still called clans.
No, still clans.
So in Destiny 1 you had the clans, but essentially what that was really was just a way for you to communicate with your teammates via what could be the app. And it was just really a name underneath your Gamertag or PSN username. Now though, they really have changed how they work now, which is great. I mean, when you're in a clan, you actually have a clan tab, so you can see all your clan members in there, who's online, what light they are. You get a set amount of XP you can get per week per character, which is capped at 5,000. As you can see here from Jungle Home finished off his. And with that increases the clan level. When you increase the clan level, you will get bonuses on the clan banner that you'll have actually in your inventory slot now. So, for example, level 2 gives you the increased glimmer, and then so on and so forth. There'll be extra ones, and then you've got weekly clan engrams. So, if somebody in your clan completes Crucible with another fighting member, everybody in that clan can get the engram for that week from it. And again, it's another avenue for powerful gear, because all the gear you can get from these is a lot higher power, and also hitting your limit of 5,000 per week also rewards you powerful gear as well, and it's good. Apparently, I've been reading that the raid completion for the clan, the engrams that the clan will get from that can apparently give you raid gear.
And that is just...
if that's the case.
Excuse me. This is such a huge game changer. I mean, the thing that gets me about clans is, and without... This is not about who's the best and who can do this and who can do that. It's nothing about that, right? When you're in a clan, right, you're with people you want to play. One of the beauties is, obviously, the clans are cross-platform. So when you look at Scholarly Gamers, for example, which what button can I push up here? Right, so if I pull up the Scholarly Gamers clan, I mean, we've got, 30 members, and those members, if we look at them, are on Xbox and PS4. Right, now we can't play with each other cross-platform, but the rewards are cross-platform. So what this allows us to do is, say for example, like one of our good friends, Topmost Error, who he works full-time, right? He's working Monday to Friday. He, can only get on certain nights a week. So he's very limited to the amount of content he'll be able to eat through. I mean, he can still do it, right? He'll get on, try, do the Nightfall, this, that, and this. But say, for example, you had someone who really didn't even have enough time to do that, right? They weren't allowed, they didn't have enough time to get on and do the Nightfall, or they didn't get on, to do all their rewards. What these clan rewards do is the tryhards, or the people that want to do these things, they end up unlocking or hitting these little milestones, so everyone in the clan gets a benefit. Once you've unlocked, as you saw, there was those 4 challenges there, right? The Crucible as a clan, the Nightfall as a clan, the Raid as a clan, and Trials of the Nine, which is the new version of what used to be Trials of Osiris. For each one of those things, the everyone in the clan gets an engram. So just think about that. Your entire clan could be incapable of running the Nightfall, but there's 3 people that can, and they can do it well, and they can do it every week. They could be doing that, and everyone in the clan benefits. And this is what gets me, I think, is just so amazing. If that is true, what Jay is saying about the raid achievement, so say for example, us on Xbox, we don't get a chance to run the raid. Just say whatever reason. Say Jay has to go visit family, he's out of town, maybe I'm sick, maybe Gimboyd, has to go traveling on a holiday or something, and we're gutted that, oh look, this week we don't get to run the raid. But the Scholarly Gamers gang over on PS4, they run the raid and they kick its ass. Then hey look, all of us, we can go pick up this engram and get a piece of raid gear. That is just awesome. It is just GG Destiny. Well done, Bungie. That was just...
it'll be good to see it if once one of us, either the Xbox guys or the PlayStation guys, get the raid or Trials of the Nine done. Because if it drops the raid gear from the raid engram, I would expect I'd expect the Trials to do the same with the Trials gear, which would be quite cool.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, because I mean, let's be honest, we don't know yet. We don't know how Trials of the Nine is going to be. But to get to the lighthouse in Trials of Osiris, for many, was not easy. I mean, I can wholeheartedly, I can admit, I never made it. I put a little bit of time and effort into it, but I didn't have the skill level at that time to do that. I'm hoping that quite, a bit of time in Rainbow Six Siege has changed all that. We shall see. But yeah, I never got to do that. So the thought that, hey, look, like Jay and Gim, well, probably not Gim because Gim hates Trials, but you know what I mean. A gang of folk could do Trials. They successfully do it, and I'm still going to reap the benefits of that. That's fantastic. I mean, it makes it such a more communal effort. When you think of before how people could be in the same clan, but they might not really kind of care about what other people were doing. Whereas now it's, they have a vested interest. It's kind of a shame for us, I mean, because of our time zone differences, we're kind of ahead of our friends in the States and Canada. So, that's why this week, for example, we immediately got the Nightfall and the Crucible engram for the clan. And that's not because, of skill or anything, but it's because of time zones. For them, the reset's at, what that'll be... I'm trying to think what time is it?
Like 5 a.m., isn't it, or something?
It depends what coast they're on. If they're East Coast, then yes, it would be 5 a.m. for them. Which, come on, who is going to wake up at 5 a.m. just to get on and do the Nightfall? Nobody. But for us, that's 10 in the morning. So, even if we get on at lunchtime, at noon, it's still 7 a.m. Eastern time, even earlier for the rest of the US and, Northern America. So, it just kind of... We've been unlocking quite a few of these things ourselves. And it's the same like with Clan XP, if you can do 5,000 XP per character. So those of us with 3 characters, we've been dumping in 15,000 XP to this, this clan goal. I mean, that's why that first week, the whole clan just kicked ass. And everyone on PS4 and Xbox, we got to level 2 in the first week. Now, obviously, the cap's 100,000 for XP, which we've hit the cap, but to hit the next level, we actually need 125. So, no level 3 for us this week. We'll have to wait till next week to hit that. But yeah, Destiny 2, it's been absolutely fantastic. It's been very, very good game.
They've done well. There's a lot to do. Obviously, we've brushed through the content because we've had the time to.
We haven't really, we haven't talked about strikes.
Heroic public events.
Heroic public events. The Nightfall is awesome. Prestige mode of the Nightfall. The raid, which the raid is just a beautifully crafted. There's a lot of debate out there. Some people are bitching and moaning. I'm not going to say any more than that because I don't want to spoil. If you've watched it, then okay, good for you. But there's a lot of folk out there that haven't, that want to experience the content firsthand. But yeah, the raid, beautiful story, and we haven't went through it yet as a clan. We're going to. It will happen. We're just trying to hash out the details. But we did take a peek in it last night. Just the 4 of us, we went and had a little look, and we liked what we saw. We shall leave it at that. So we shall. But anything else about Destiny 2, Jay, that you just you have to get out? Zur Day tomorrow, right?
Oh yeah, Zur Day tomorrow. I'm looking. He obviously works differently now. So Zur used to only appear in the social spaces, which to begin with was just the tower. So you'd find a nice little random place. Once you knew all the places where you knew where always to check.
Yeah.
For anybody watching, whoever's selling first week or second week, I'd probably advise buying because you don't want a Galahorn repeat. Been there, done that. Didn't see it for 2 bloody years.
Yeah.
2 years. Oh my god. But now he appears on the planets as well. From what I'm aware of, so he can appear in the patrol areas. So there's a lot of places we're gonna have to check, and I think for a while it will be relying on what people have shown on the internet of where it is, or looking up for it, or just happening to passing by. You know, you might just be like, oh look, it's there. Not even realise at first, but yeah. So, but other than that, I'm trying to think.
No, yeah.
A very, very good part actually is the guided games introduction.
Oh,
which
goodness.
I feel is something we really should mention.
I can pull it up as well if you want to talk about it. Let's have a look.
So essentially, what this allows to do is, as we know from Destiny 1, a lot of complaints was the lack of matchmaking. Things like Strikes had it, Crucible had it, but if you went to things like Nightfall and Raid, the big high-end game stuff, it didn't have matchmaking. Half of Bungie's reasoning for that was due to the communication aspect that's required for it. Now, Guided Games, which is currently in the beta, which makes use of the new clan system as well, is you can take your clan in, say you've got 4 of your clan members there, you can then look for 2 more to fill up. But in this case, as the Nightfall can be seen here, you need 2 of your clan members, and you can guide a 3rd person through, which is nice, because what it means is that you can, if you've got gaps, let's say for example you want to raid one week and we've got not enough people, we've got maybe 4 people and the rest can't make it, we think, you know what, we can guide a couple of people through once we know it well enough. You know, we can, and it allows those players that are single players as such, that don't have enough people to be able to do the raids, don't have the friends for it or know the people, to allow them to actively search for a clan that would like to help out other people and join them in it and get to see this end game content, which is really, really nice from Bungie, if you ask me, because it fits this need of, we still need communication, but it just means that people that are solo players can get a chance to this content, they can get a chance to get run through, and you never know, you might pick up some of these solo players and think, actually these are really good, we want to make them part of our actual clan, part of our rating, and that's what's nice, it opens up those avenues.
I just want to pipe in here, because obviously the part that we don't see is because we were in a clan right off the bat, but if you are not in a clan, you will have received, I don't know how many, but at least 1 Nightfall ticket, right? So if you're clanless, what happens is you pull up the guided game, which, as Jay said, is under beta, and you would actually put in Seeker here. And what happens is, as a Seeker, I can't do it because I don't have a Nightfall ticket because I'm in a clan. I do believe. See, I don't have a guided game ticket, so I can't do it. But what would end up happening, basically, is once you've chosen to seek for one, from what I understand, you then get a list in game. You can see all the different guided games, right? You can see the people who have, you know, said, right, we're ready to guide, and you can pick and choose. So that way, maybe you're looking at a certain clan, you might go, oh yeah, hey, the Scholarly Gamers, yeah, I like those guys, they're alright, I'll join up with them. So that's kind of a really, really nice feature. Obviously, we don't get to see that because we're in a clan, so we don't get those tickets. But if you're clanless, you will get them. Allegedly, you can also do other activities to get those as a reward. Don't tell me what, because again, I think there's a lot of people in the same boat that because they're in a clan, they haven't seen these things. It might be interesting just for science to have, you know, try to find someone who's not in a clan and, you know, see what they're saying to it. Instead of, I don't want to go through the whole rigmarole of leaving the clan just to go find that out and then get reinvited, and I'll screw all that. But it'd be interesting to see what the full script is with that.
I think this is probably one of the best features they put into Destiny, and it's one of the features I was looking forward to as well. Because, as you say, it just opens up so many more avenues for solo players. Is it not possible to get guided game tickets? And if you're in a clan, do you have to be clanless to be able to get them?
As far as I know, you have to be clanless. Because you would have, if we weren't in a clan, once you got to level 20, I believe, you would have got one, there would have been one in your postmaster, or somebody, I think maybe even Hawthorne, maybe gift you one, or 2 or 3. And then by doing certain activities, you can earn more. But that's my understanding of it, is that you have to be clanless.
I'm assuming the tickets don't disappear until you actually complete the activity, because that'd be a bit of a kicker, wouldn't it?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I'm hoping that would be the case.
Because here's I think the question you've asked, I think, ties in with something, and that is if I pull up the. Oh, can I? Yes. If I pull this up real quick, on the clan website, there's a new area called Oathkeeper's Score. And this is saying that in guided games, finishing activities and playing according to the Guardian Oath lead to better scores. So I think, I think if the activity isn't finished, then maybe, depending on what happens, I think if that person who was a seeker leaves, it might get consumed because they've quit.
Yeah.
But then if they've been booted, or the actual guides themselves leave, then I think maybe they'll get refunded. So this is what's quite nice too, is this Oathkeeper score allows a clan to build up a reputation. So if you're going to do a guided Nightfall, or later when it's introduced a guided raid, you need to make sure that you're not a dick and you actually fulfill that oath. If you're saying we're going to guide this person to the Nightfall, then do it. Don't just, think, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to troll people, because you're going to end up really pulling down the reputation of your clan. And I imagine in the actual guided game browser, it most likely shows what the Oathkeeper score is of a clan.
Yeah,
and
I
that
think
will
it would
probably
do
help
that.
people, make that decision, even more. So I really like that. I really want to. Now I know we've got our own thing, and we need to make sure we're doing Nightfalls and stuff. But I think it is worth thinking that each week we probably do split into, have pairs do the guided Nightfalls, just to try to spread that love a little bit, try to build up some scholarly gamers rep, because I mean, even the mantra of scholarly gamers anyway is about community, right? We're about trying to help each other out in whatever way we can and communicate with each other. So I think it would just very much tie in with the kind of the ethos there, and it could be a bit of fun. I mean, don't get me wrong, it'll be frustrating as well, because one of the things that we're so used to is, I mean, as you can see over there, we use Discord. We don't use console party chat for our voice communications. But if we're doing the guided games, we're going to have to use in-game chat, or possibly, invite the person to a party, which isn't great. We much prefer to use Discord because the audio quality is better, connectivity is usually better. I mean, every so often it has a few issues, but at least it's quickly fixed. Whereas, let's be honest, guys, I mean, in the past, whenever we've had party chat or in-game voice chat, it's often resulted in issues in some of these kind of end-game activities.
Yeah, it can do. Especially when people disconnecting them, but they're still in the game, or problems where you can't listen to people, so you'll have to jump into game chat, and that can cause problems.
There's the thing that the app doesn't let me accept invites.
Oh yeah, exactly. That as well.
Yeah, that's very, very true. If you're using the app on PC, for a lot of folk, they can't actually accept party invites.
I think it's an update error, but there's no way to do a fresh clean install because it's integral. So that's fun.
Yep.
Beta version doesn't fix it either.
Bit of a pain. But no, so the guided games is something that looks very interesting. Hopefully we'll partake in a bit of that. But yeah, no, all sorts of things. The game's been out over a week now, and there's stuff still happening. There's more to come. There's a roadmap on the internet if you look it up, and it's got, tomorrow's obviously Xur. Also, Trials of the Nine will kick off tomorrow. The next week, is it next week or the week after, when the factions are reappearing?
It's the 4th week, isn't it? So it'll be not next week, the week after.
Week after, right? Because at the minute there's no Dead Orbit, there's no New Monarchy, there's no Future War Cult. Where are they? What happened? Well, we'll find out in another 2 weeks. So we'll just have to see.
I'm kind of hoping when the faction rally, if it's just an event, if it sort of takes breaks, they actually stay there. Because it feels incomplete without them there.
It does. I mean, they've got their zones and their areas, so
yeah.
That'll be.
It looks unfinished and broken.
See, I've got an idea, and I wonder if it's going to rotate them. or something, you know, or
That will be a once a month event or something, or it'll be a week long event like an Iron Banner sort of thing where you know what, don't think this will be the case because of the way it would work and it wouldn't be fair as such, but you might even have the case of, say for example, you've got Dead Orbit, New Monarchy, and obviously Future War Cult. You might have the ones that get the most faction XP get a special reward, or all the people who are part of that faction for that week. I don't know if that's something they do.
Shit. Do you,
so
that
would
think
be
it's something like that, where maybe it's tracking who's representing Dead Orbit, who's presenting New Monarchy?
Yeah, and depending on
what's fighting in the Crucible, like the For Honor thing. With the...
It could be that, or it could just be even activities, just depending. Like, say for example, you've got a guy that's repping Dead Orbit, maybe he gets a special buff or something, or a special item he has to use, and then maybe he gets XP from doing that. And then, like I said, at the end of the week, depending which faction has the most XP, depends which one they who gets certain rewards. I mean, I don't see it being like that because it's then people see it as being unfair, but it's not unlike games could have done that. But it might just be the faction rally being over with all the factions just suddenly returning. It could be nothing special for all we know.
Yeah, maybe it's just oh look, we're here, right? Go do Crucible and wear our cloak.
Exactly. So I'm looking forward to seeing what it is because I think I'll be surprised no matter what it is.
Yeah.
I'm looking for, and again, this is something that I think I'm looking more for because I think Bungie are actually planning on giving what they obviously is to be seen, but this monthly report of what's going on. I think they're planning on doing that every month because obviously they got Iron Banner returning in October. I'd be very surprised if they don't do another sort of dawning event, Christmas event, or Sparrow Race. I'd be very surprised if Sparrow Racing doesn't come back in December, especially with how much it was, how well it was received during the last two times it's been done.
Absolutely loved it.
The fact they kept it an event disappointed me, not just a thing that you can do all the time.
Yeah, well, you could do them private matches. I think they are planning on bringing back private matches again at some point as well. And again, that might be down in the roadmap.
They've already said private matches will be coming back sometime before the first expansion, I believe.
So I mean, I'm looking forward to all the stuff they've got planned and to see what's going to happen. And I'm actually looking forward to see what the new Iron Banner's like as well. Because I mean, is it going to be 4v4 still, or are they going to have just suddenly have a 6v6 mode? Or again, it's the same with Trials of the 9. I expect it'll be 4v4 because it's based off the competitive playlist. So it'll be good to see what they do and look at what they're doing.
What about okay? You go to Reddit a lot, so you'll obviously have seen a lot of stuff there. But is it even possible that because Trials of the 9 is talking about deities, right? When it talks about 9, or could it actually be 3-on-3-on-3?
No, I don't think it'll be 3-on-3-on-3. I think it'll be based around the actual.
The 9 are the enigmatic group behind Xur and all that.
That's right.
So I'd expect it to be something related to that.
Because it's most likely just going to be 3-on-3, I would imagine, for Trials.
What another interesting thing is obviously Trials will always coincide with Xur's appearance. So will it be Xur that sort of headlong to that, or is it going to be somebody else? And more importantly, is some of the exotic Xur's going to sell be based around maybe, for example, a set amount of tokens from Trials games? Because I said they coincide perfectly with one another. They both start at the same time. I think Xur leaves a bit earlier usually than what Trials does, so I could be wrong again.
Yeah, no, you're
so
right.
I'm pretty sure Trials lasts through to Monday as well. It starts Friday to Tuesday reset. So again, I could be wrong on that, but he could have some sort of bearing to it. Even maybe potentially another character from the 9.
With referring to Trials, there was from the PC beta, of course, data miners got in there. They did find the announcer for the Trials matches.
They got him.
It wasn't so.
They got him. I could be very well wrong.
Character. And I don't want to give much away. So.
Well, we'll just have to see. We shall find out, no doubt, at some point this weekend, because Jay'll drag some of us in there, no doubt. I want to at least try it. I know that, yes, it's easy to get frustrated in PvP, and it can, or not even frustrated, it's so easy to get very sweaty and be like on the edge of your seat, especially when you get close to completing that passage, and you're about to, finally get your perfect ticket, only for something to happen.
I've both times I've been to the Lighthouse, it's been just heart pounding.
Yeah, it's like playing Rainbow Six Siege unranked.
Yeah, I can't explain it unless you're in that position.
Absolutely.
It's nerve-wracking. I love it though. I love it.
But yeah, as you can tell, we've been enjoying the hell out of Destiny 2. Hence why we've spent an entire Jungle Drums talking just about Destiny 2. We did have some other news items, but hey, you know, that's been an hour already, so I think we're just going to have to finish it up for this evening right there. But yes, Destiny 2, probably not everyone's cup of tea, right? I mean, it's not a full-blown MMO. It doesn't have as much meat in it as some of the more developed franchises out there, but as far as fun, as far as content, you know, the story and things to do, especially if you're with friends, is just fantastic. And then now, the way that they're helping out solo players with the guided games, where you could possibly, you know, do your raids and stuff as well in the future. You know, I think solo players will be a bit more pleased with Destiny 2 compared to Destiny 1. But if you are a solo player, why not get out there? Why not have a look and see if there's a clan out there for you? You know, hey, come by the Scholarly Gamers Discord, right? And see what the people are like. See if you want to play with them. And if you do, you can always join the Scholarly Gamers Destiny 2 clan. But, you know, if you go to the forums, you can see there's all sorts of recruitments and whatnot. But, you know, Destiny is a great way to meet people. I mean, that's how we all met, was playing Destiny together.
Was indeed.
Right? And we have, throughout the years, we've all become friends. You know, we've went out, we've had dinner, we've had drinks, we've...
cried at games together.
We've cried at games together.
Frustrated at games together. Been happy about games together.
We've insulted each other, shouted at each other. We've been through it all. We've been through
You're
it all.
saying insulted each other, I feel like a certain person gets the brunt of that. I'm not going to name names.
That certain person deserves it.
Shut up, you! You're spoke when spoken to. No. Well, anyway, hey, let's call that a night. Thank you so much, Jay, for being here for the show. Gem, hey, don't worry about it, mate. I know that, you know, your plans have changed and stuff, so never feel bad or guilty about that. I had thought that I could have postponed it a little bit, but I was like, you know what, no, I need to get this over with so I can actually, you know, do all the editing post-show and get it uploaded and whatnot. So I can. But thank you both so much for hanging out this evening.
No problemo.
Thank you for everyone who stopped by. Karma, much appreciated, buddy. Topmost, thank you for that follow. About friggin' time. Of course, my good friend Josh, thank you so much for the tip. Love you, buddy. I know you're playing Destiny 2 on the PS4, but you will come to the dark side later. You know you're gonna. You know it's gonna happen. You do want to play with us. And Kronos, you know, thanks so much as well for stopping by. Speaking of which, we need to do some stuff with Kronos as well. So we do, as time goes on. But yes, hey, everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you've been watching us on demand on scholarlygamers.com, thank you so much. Please make sure to check out the other great articles out there. Also, video content as well. My good friend Sheldon doing Armchair Gaming. A new episode just dropped. Make sure to check that out sometime. And you can always catch the rest of the Scholarly Gamers crew out there on Twitch. Just look for the Scholarly Gamers community. And likewise on Twitter, if you see the hashtag Scholarly Gamers, we're out there. Come talk to us, right? Well, hey, that is us for this evening. Thank you so much for stopping by. And we shall, should we do this? Yeah, should we have Jungle Drums next week? Yeah, we'll have Jungle Drums next week.
Yes.
So we'll
I'll be
catch
on
you
time next time.
We'll catch you next week, folks. Take it easy.